If politicians stopped meddling with things they don't understand, there would be a more drastic reduction in the size of government than anyone in either party advocates.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today, we're going to be looking at something I think it's going to spark some debate, maybe even a little controversy.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. It's a quote about government and, how involved it should be in economics and other stuff.
Oh.
So this quote is from Thomas Sowell.
Thomas Sowell, a fascinating guy.
Yeah, you know him.
Oh, yeah. He was an economist,
Yeah.
really well known, wrote a ton of books. And he was, how do I put this? He was pretty skeptical of government intervention, shall we say?
Skeptical, huh?
Yeah. He thought politicians often messed things up when they tried to fix the economy.
Interesting.
Yeah. He really believed in free markets, less government, more individual freedom, that sort of thing.
So what's this quote that's got us all fired up?
Okay, here it is. It's from his book, Pasted Text, and it says, if politicians stopped meddling with things they don't understand, there would be a more drastic reduction in the size of government than anyone in either party advocates.
Whoa! He doesn't pull any punches, does he?
Not really, no. He's known for being pretty blunt.
I mean, I can already see how this could rub some people the wrong way.
Oh, absolutely. It depends a lot on, I guess, your political leanings, right? If you already think the government's too big, you're probably nodding along with Sowell.
Right. But if you think the government plays a vital role in, regulating things and protecting people.
You might see this as a bit extreme.
Exactly. But that's what makes this quote so interesting. It really gets us thinking about the role of government. Where do we draw the line? When is it helpful? And when does it become, meddling?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
So let's unpack this a little bit. What do you think Sowell is getting at here? Like, what's the core of his argument?
I think he's saying that a lot of politicians just don't get it. They try to solve problems, which is great, but they don't always understand the complexities of the systems they're dealing with.
So their good intentions end up backfiring.
Exactly. Like that whole idea of unintended consequences. You try to do something good, but it ends up creating a whole bunch of new problems.
Oh, I bet our listeners can think of a few examples of that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Have you ever seen a government policy or program that just seemed to make things worse? Maybe it was trying to help people, but it ended up creating more obstacles or hurting those it was supposed to help.
I bet. Well, think about it like this. Sowell would probably argue that the problem isn't always bad intentions. It's often a lack of knowledge. Like, imagine a politician who doesn't really understand economics trying to fix a complex economic issue.
Right. They might think they have a simple solution, but
the reality is way more complicated, right? And their actions could throw things even further out of whack.
And he's not just talking about economics here, is he?
No, I think this quote could apply to a lot of different areas. I mean, think about environmental regulations. Those are obviously important, but if they're not crafted carefully, they can stifle innovation or even harm the environment in unexpected ways.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or take social programs. The goal is often to help people, but sometimes the way they're designed can actually disincentivize work or create dependency. It's all about finding that balance.
Right. And that's the challenge, figuring out where that sweet spot is.
Yeah.
So coming back to Sowell, would he say that any government involvement is bad? Or are there areas where he'd say, okay, this is where government needs to step in?
That's a really good question. I think even Sowell would agree that there are some essential roles for government, things like protecting property rights, enforcing contracts, basically making sure the rules of the game are fair and that everyone plays by them.
That makes sense.
But his main critique, I think, is about overreach, government trying to do too much, especially in areas where politicians just don't have the expertise.
So what does this all mean for us? How should we think about the size and role of government?
Well, I think Sowell's quote is a powerful reminder to be critical, to question things, even if they come from people with good intentions, and maybe, most importantly, to really consider the potential unintended consequences of government actions. I think that's relevant regardless of your political views.
Absolutely. Whether you agree with Sowell's conclusions or not, I think he makes a really important point.
Yeah.
We need to have informed debates, not just about the goals we want to achieve, but about the best ways to get there.
I completely agree. We need to be honest about the potential downsides of any policy, no matter how well-intentioned it might seem.
So for our listeners out there, as you think about the issues facing our society, what do you think? Is there a role for government in solving problems? Or should we be looking for solutions elsewhere?
And how can we ensure that the decisions being made, whether by the government or by anyone else, are informed decisions? Decisions that take into account the complexities of the issue at hand and consider all the potential outcomes, not just the intended ones.
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
It was a pleasure being here.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.